Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. It is Wednesday, so it is box day for you guys. Box day is every day for me. Oh no, I need a box to show off these little words that I created for a swap. And I decided to make a pizza style box because I think it'll look really cute in there. Plus, I need practice with making the pizza style boxes because this is my weakness, right? And practice makes perfect, right? So we're going to make this cute little box. And I already did the measurements and whatnot. But then somebody called me and then the army was going crazy, you know, blah, blah, blah. Just full disclosure, the army is practicing, you know how YouTube and Facebook now, if you say certain words, you're going to get in jail, put in jail, YouTube jail. So they are practicing artillery and stuff like that. So you may hear the sounds of freedom in the background. So don't fret if you hear that. And hopefully my phone doesn't ring and interrupt everything. Because with the pizza style box, I have to concentrate. My full flat box, I can do one measurement and then go do laundry, talk on the phone, blah, 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 and come back and finish the tutorial just fine. Pizza style box, I cannot do that with because these boxes I don't do routinely. And so I really have to concentrate. So anyway, after I told you my whole life story, happy Wednesday. Happy box day. Let's do this. Okay. So again, I want the little box to fit my words. So I'm going to pick out my longest word, which is congratulations. And this measures left to right, just under 5 inches. And so I want my box to be 5 inches. Okay. So for me, I like to put my left to right measurement first. So it's going to be 5 inches. Okay. Now, the box size I chose 1.5 for my up and down. Why? Because it was the size of the ruler. And I thought that looked pretty cool. So, there you go. So my up and down is 1.5. And then you need to determine how thick you want your box. Girl, she thick. And I want my box, yep, every single time I'm going to do that. I want my box to be 1/2 inch thick. Okay. There we go. So how I process my measurements, I already know I need all 4 sides to be that 1/2 inch and I need my hinge to be 1/2 inch. So we're going to go ahead and write that in. 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, and 1/2 inch. Okay. Now, I'm going to write my arrow. This is going to be my left to right, which is going to be 5. Now, on the pizza style box, I only need to write my left to right one time because I'm only calculating the left to right. It's basically, you know, one piece. Okay. But my up and down, I need to write twice because it's 2 sections. So I need that to be 1.5 in this section, and I also need 1.5 in this section. Okay, because if you forget to do this measurement twice, you only make this. How do I know? Because I've done it plenty of times. Hence why the book came about. Okay. So anyway, so that is our measurements. So let's take out some different color inks and let's measure this out. Now, I do suggest to use 2 different color pens until you are comfortable making boxes. On my full flat boxes, when I do it myself, I don't use 2 different color pens. I'm good. But when I'm doing tutorials, I use 2 different color pens because it's easier for you to see. When I first started these boxes, I used 2 different color pens. Don't be embarrassed. Use your resources, right? Okay, left to right. And I don't have to draw arrows anymore on my full flat boxes, but I have to on my pizza boxes because I don't make that many. So left to right, you only have to worry about 3 numbers when you're doing left to right. Your left, your right, and your left to right measurement. Okay? We wrote that in our book. Left to right, 3 numbers. So 5 plus a half is 6. Okay? Let me cover that back up again. So there's that. Now we need to measure our up and down. Your up and down needs to have 5 numbers. Your top, your bottom, your hinge, your up and down, your up and down. Okay? That's how I remember to write my up and down. Twice, because you need 5 numbers for your up and down. Okay? So, a half plus 1.5 is 2, plus a half, 2.5, 3, 4.5. Okay, so this one is going to be interesting to cut. Last week, I think I gave you a little bit of bad advice-ish. Not bad advice, but it was advice for that project when I wrote this out. Excuse me. When you're cutting your boxes, where you cut is where you have the most score lines. I think that's going to be the easiest way to explain it, to keep it straight in your head. Because these are your tabs and these are your flaps. Okay? So sometimes your short side is going to be the side you cut on. I didn't think of that last week when I was cutting that box. But you want to cut where you have the most score lines. So wherever you have rectangles and squares, that's where you want to cut. So here on my long side, I only have one solid line. There's only a little bit. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. There's only one solid line. So you're going to cut on the side that has the most score lines here. See? So this is the short side and it has 4 score lines. The long side only has 2. So you're going to cut on the short side. Wherever the most score lines, that's where you're going to cut. Am I repeating this for you or me? Probably for me. But it will help you too. Alright, so let's go ahead and math this out. So another reason for the different color pens, so you can clearly see which is the long side and which is the short side. In this case, my pink is the long side, which happens to be my left to right. So I only need 2 score lines. So I need half and 5.5. Okay. Now my short side is going to be the side with all the score marks. I like to turn my book so I can just ignore, like act like these aren't even here. Like these 2 flaps aren't even here because I'm just worried about this right here. So I need to get to this score line, I need a 1/2 inch. So 1/2 inch, excuse me. Now to get from this score line to this score line, I need to add 1.5 inches. So that would be 2. Now to get from this score line to this score line, I need to add 1/2 inch to that. So it would be 2.5. And then to get from this score line to this score line, I need to add another 1.5 inches. So 2.5 plus 1.5 is 4. Okay, that one was easy to math. Let me make sure I'm right. 6, 4, 1.5, 5.5, half 2. Yep, there we go. So let's go ahead and cut our paper. So we need 4.5 by 6. Okay. And in this case, my paper is a little bit directional. I want my foil to be on the outside of the box. So I need to put the foil side down because the way that I fold my paper, I fold in. And I'll show you what that means in just a second. So let's go ahead and put our long side on the board. And you're going to do your 1/2 and 5 1/2. Or what I do is I just go ahead and put my 1/2 inch on all 4 sides. Whichever doesn't confuse you, follow your score marks exactly, or you can do the shortcut and just do your 4 sides at once. So I'm doing 1/2 inch on all 4 sides. Okay. Now I'm on the short side and I need to do the rest of these measurements. So I already have the 1/2 inch. Now I need to do 2 and 2 1/2. And that gives me all of my measurements quickly. Okay. So we're done with the book. Let's go ahead and put that away so I don't ruin it. Actually, you know what? I have 2 boxes I need to do, but that's okay. I'll do that in a minute. So the reason I put my paper in this side down is because when I burnish or fold my lines, I fold into the dented side. So you see how that's like dented and this is bumpy? I didn't used to pay attention to that. But when I started paying attention, I realized it makes life easier. Okay. And honestly, before, when like I learned this from Kathy Orta King, when she said bumpy or dented, I thought she was talking about the texture of the paper. Because the paper I had a bumpy side and it had like a smooth dented side. I didn't realize she was talking about the score lines. Okay. Full disclosure. Anyway, so that's why I put whatever side I want on the outside that has to go on the bottom. Okay. So anyway, okay, so let's take a look here. You know what? For this paper, I'm going to go ahead and burnish first. Okay. That way we can see our lines. I know it's harder to see on foil paper and on like tan paper because of lighting, but there we go. Okay. One more. Okay. So let's go ahead and cut our lines. So the side that has your squares and your rectangles, we're going to cut up that first score line and we're going to miter. And optional step, cut some of the bulk off. I had a really great question. Somebody said, are you cutting the score line completely out or are you cutting on the score line? I cut the score line completely off. So I cut it to where the score line now is on the rectangle. Is on the square. So that one might be easier to see. Maybe not, I don't know. So see how the score line, you can see the difference. And now when I miter, it cuts the score line completely out. See that little difference? That's the score line and that's the square. I don't know if you can see that or not. That I don't know if that's what you're supposed to do, but that's how I was taught and that's what I do. And I'm very successful with my boxes. So it works. So like this one, I didn't completely cut that score line off of my rectangle. And so I'm just going through and I'm trimming this tiny little petty bit right here. I can't even pick it up. Look how petty that is. That's it. Okay. All right, so I'm going to do the same to this side and cut the score line, varnish, which I did not do a very good job. Cut up the score line, varnish and varnish. Cut up the score line, varnish and varnish. And I'm going to cut off just a tiny bit of bulk. Was this part necessary? Nope. Am I gonna do it? Yep. All right. So now you have your box that looks like this. If you have directional paper, pay attention to what is going to be on top and what's going to be on bottom. Mine don't have to worry about it, so I'm just going to fold in. This is the way I prefer to do it. I'm going to leave this one here. I did not cut the bulk off of that, and I'll just leave it on so you can just see. Cutting the bulk really doesn't matter for this box. Sometimes it does matter, like especially if you're working with like 1/4 of an inch, that extra bulk can make your box look weird. All right, so we're going to go ahead and give that an extra second to dry because this is foil paper. Okay. And though I didn't varnish it very well, but that's okay. I mean, I didn't miter it very well, but that's okay. All right, and my last piece here. And there you go. So you should have something that looks like this, okay? I like to fold back and forth on that score line so that way my box opens and closes easy. As you can see, the extra long tab, it does not matter. It's just that is the way I was taught to cut the bulk. And I'm like a dog. Once you're trained with something, that's it. Okay. All right, so I put my glue on my other 2 tabs, and I'm going to make the top of my book. And here we go. And here we go. Okay, so I'm just going to hold these for a second. Our box is done. So I'm going to show you, because I know this tutorial at this point is 17 minutes of all the talking. I'm going to do this other box super quick so you can see really how quick these boxes come together. Okay, 4.5 by 6 on the long, and I'm going to do here. Oh no. Oh, I learned this trick. You can rub out a score line. I didn't know that. You just take your bone folder and rub the score line out. Crazy, right? Alright, so face down, I'm going to do a 1/2 inch on all 4 sides. And 4. On the short side, I need to do 2. Whoa, whoa. Yep, 2 and 2.5. Okay, so short side, 2, 2.5. We're good to go. And squares, cut the score lines, miter, bulk. And as you can see, I cut randomly. It doesn't matter as long as you do the same end result. And miter and bulk and score line, score line, score line, score line, miter, miter, bulk, and miter, miter, bulk. Okay, and miter, miter, bulk. All right. The 1/2 inch ones are the toughest because it's so small. All right, so bone folder, bone folder, bone folder, bone folder. I did not do a good job on this one, so I'm gonna clean this up just a little bit. And bone folder, bone folder, bone folder, bone folder. So each box is going to take you, less than 5 minutes to do once you get your measurements and remember where to cut. Okay, there you go. And I'm going to go ahead and keep those tabs down. Glue, 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 and glue. Tab. And I accidentally glued my tab down. And tab. I was careless with the glue. Tab. And tab. And my other two tabs right here. Glue and glue. And your box is basically done. Almost. And done. That's it. Okay. Box is good. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you try some boxes. Tag me if you do. And if you have any tips or tricks that may, help somebody else, including me, hey, let me know. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.